What's up, my fellow Las Vegas VIPs? The time has finally arrived. Support for the Guest List podcast is brought to you by Manscaped, who is the best in men's below-the-waist grooming champions of the world. Manscaped offers precision-engineered tools for your family jewels. Manscaped just launched their fourth-generation trimmer, the Lawnmower 4.0. You heard that right, the 4.0. Join over 2 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped with this exclusive offer for you. Wait for it. 20% off and free worldwide shipping with the code TheGuestList at manscaped.com. Imagine shaving with a sleek, well-designed, and optimized trimmer that makes shaving time your favorite time in the bathroom. I, for one, am one of the first people to try the new 4.0, and I'm blown away by the performance. The craftsmanship and details on the 4.0 are next level. Guys, I literally just got out of the shower after trying this 4.0 lawnmower for the first time, and I have to say this is a complete different experience from when I was a young college frat boy running around using a traditional razor to shave my family jewels. I can tell you, for one, it does not give a young man filled with testosterone a lot of confidence when you have a cut-up man region and you know when you find a significant other for the night, a flick of the light can end your night in embarrassment. I have all of the confidence now knowing that Vegas is about to open up and I have a perfected, trimmed Manscaped area. Manscaped engineered the ultimate groin and body trimmer by focusing on intelligent functionality and an incredible, comfortable grooming experience. Their fourth generation trimmer features a cutting-edge ceramic blade to reduce grooming accidents thanks to their advanced skin-safe technology. I now feel confident shaving my boys. This upgraded trimmer includes a multi-function on and off switch that can engage a travel lock. It also gives you the ability to turn on the 4000K LED spotlight on and off when needed for a more precise shave. The Lawnmower 4.0 even allows you to customize your trim through additional guard lengths with sizes 1 through 4. Did I mention wireless charging? The new wireless charging station uses electromagnetic induction, which can help battery length last longer. Men, if you've been shaving with the same nut trimmer on your face, you've been doing it wrong. No person wants to end up with pubes in their mouth. It's time to get your own ball hair and body trimmer with Manscaped to make me time the best time and enhance your confidence with some nice, smooth boys. Get 20% off plus free shipping with the code TheGuestList at manscaped.com. Your balls will thank you. Get 20% off and free shipping with the code TheGuestList at manscaped.com. That's right, 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com and use the code TheGuestList. Unlock your confidence and always use the right tools for the job with Manscaped. Thank you guys for your support, and now I know that you're ready to hear the show, so get on in there and enjoy the ride. What's up, Las Vegas? As you guys have just heard, we now have a sponsor for the show, so make sure that you guys go hook me up with that. The first month is very important. We need to have a decent amount of sales so that I can have a long-time sponsorship with Manscaped. So thank you guys for listening, and we are growing. I'm sitting here today with Brjden Crewe. He is the founder of BiteSiZeD Magazine, which is a digital magazine, digital first. He is making some moves out here in Las Vegas, doing little bite-sized clips of different food stores. They got fashion, shopping, fun activities. This man's covering everything in the city with his BiteSiZeD magazine. I just had to bring him on to talk more about the innovation to the magazine model as we all become digital, but also just somebody who has a deep passion for the city. So, Bridge, thank you for coming on.
Thank you for having me, Jake. I appreciate it.
I appreciate you, bro. Dude, as we were talking about right before this, the Arts District is crushing it right now. As I was scrolling through your Instagram, for BiteSiZeD Magazine, you personally, a little bit of a ghost on social media, but I noticed that a lot of your recent videos are down here in this area where we are actually recording. What kind of value do you see down here to be presented down here as much?
I see a lot of value in it that I think downtown is essentially what may define the city outside of what the Strip is. for a long time, and this is something I've been saying. I used to work for a lot of different places. We'll get into that, but I always said that what's interesting about Las Vegas is that the culture really hasn't been defined. You can go like to New York, you can go to LA, Atlanta, and the culture is sort of defined by the way people dress, the way people talk, the music, the lingo and everything else. And Vegas really hasn't had that yet. And I've been saying it for a long time. I said, you know what? The people who ultimately will be able to kind of define what the culture is, sky's the limit for them. And I think that downtown and what's been going on in downtown is kind of that sort of first step to kind of like ultimately sort of define what Las Vegas culture really is. People think it's the Strip. I mean, again, you've been out here for a while. I'm from Chicago. I get friends that come into town and they want to do something. Ideally, when most people think about Las Vegas, like how do you live in Las Vegas with all the the strippers and the slots and the club life and everything else? But that's not really what the city is. Most people who live in the city know that. Most people who I know who live in the city don't even go near the Strip.
So it's so true that
I don't go near the Strip unless it's about business. But
yeah, the only time I ever went on the Strip was to go to the clubs, and that's only if it's comped for free. Where we're blessed. We're blessed to be the natives out here who get to take advantage of that and get thousands of dollars in free table service and get to go hang out with everyone and live that celebrity kind of catered life, even though you may not be, but it still is glorified, and it's very cool to see. Mm-hmm. But from a lot of the conversations that I've had with people in the city, we all have the same view that you've been preaching, is that we are in this golden age of culture. I literally had an entire podcast with Paul Gonzalez about that we're literally just in this golden age. And it's up to us to define it. We can't let the Strip and the age of corporatism kind of crowd our downtown area. And as you were talking about before this, downtown Henderson as well, because that's kind of what the Strip has become. But downtown is kind of taken, and the Arts District is taken a different direction because they see what's happening.
It won't. They won't be able to take it over. And the reason why, like most things, even with big money and big power, they always go back to where the creators are and where the passion is and where the uniqueness is. They don't have it, so they look for it. They may try to steal it. They may try to duplicate it, but it's never really what the true essence of something that is really pure, which is really authentic is. They'll try to do certain things to kind of make it like, I'll give you a good example. I could give you a ton of different examples, but I'm not going to say the name of the place, but almost every place now has chicken and waffles. And Roscoe's in LA kind of was like, it's unfortunate that they didn't do what they did with it and really make it their own thing. Now everyone tries to do it, but it's not really the same. I saw KFC, they're doing it now. I'm like, really? Like,
yeah, it's more of a marketing and money grab than it is anything else about the culture.
People who really found it and really liked it from the place of authenticity really enjoyed it. So they're like, hey, maybe we can try doing that. And that's always sort of been the case from hip hop to just so many different things. Corporations, big money, big power, they're always looking for a way to kind of steal and infiltrate what is pure, what is something that's passionate, what is something that's authentic. It's always going to happen that way. So, and that's not, again, the Strip, I like the Strip. The Strip is cool, but they're going to find ways to try to do what downtown is doing and try to take little pieces of what is going on, what's really hot right now, downtown, and try to, just like, I really believe that there's going to be certain places, and there are certain places on the Strip. Down here, the art, the walls, the canvases that a lot of these great artists have been doing, they're doing a lot of that in the Strip. They're doing a lot of that in different places. I'm not going to say any names, but they're taking walls and they're trying to get some of the different artists who've done some really great pieces down here to do it in their places. So that's a really good example of how that kind of works. But it's going to always be that way. But it's just really it's going to be important for people who, like people downtown, the founders, rest in peace, Tony Hsieh, people who really sort of created what this was not to sell out.
It's true.
Not to sell out.
Culture is really defined by culture is built without the presence of money. When you look at, the beginning days of hip hop or the beginning days of sports or any of these other various cultures, there was no money that was built. It was built through the people who had a passion for whatever that interest is, and then they had a crowd that followed them from there, and it just became bigger and bigger. And then that's when the marketing comes in and kind of taints the cultures within itself.
Yeah.
It's really unfortunate, but
It happens. Anything that's pure, that's passionate, that people really enjoy, somebody with some money and power are going to come and try to either duplicate it or purchase it and repackage it and sell it. So that's what happens.
And one of the most prestigious cultures that you are diving into and taking your own twist to it is journalism, right? Journalism has been a massive culture, and I guess news too, for such a long time. Mm-hmm. And with the rise of digital technology and social media, the physical journalism and paper is becoming antiquated. It's gone.
It's dying.
So you're the first person I've ever come across that focused on a digital first magazine. And then you also saw what the trend is and you made them bite-sized through the rise of TikTok just shows that attention spans under 45 seconds. I think a minute is
it's almost 6 seconds actually.
Okay. Yeah. Is where
faster.
Is where everything is trending in terms of journalism. So before we do get on to BiteSiZeD, tell us a little bit and build some context to who Bridge is and how you found yourself in this new age of journalism.
Well, I always, I majored in English and, when I was in college and from Chicago. When I came out here, and man, this is going to sound like I'm shitting on them, but I'm not. When I came out here, the Las Vegas Weekly was everything. And this was maybe, I'm thinking 2006, 2007. I came out here, we didn't have anything like this in Chicago. It was, I don't know how far you go back with seeing it. You can open it up, and it was such a culture, independent. You can find independent artists. You can find, a different little coffee spot over here. They covered it in a way that was so, you got a really good feel about what Las Vegas was when it came to that. So I came out here. I really wanted to write for them. I would stalk the artists. You know how you not the artists, but the writers. Because most of the writers, their bylines, they have it, and maybe their handle or whatever else. I would stalk them on Facebook, slide in their DM yo, my name is Bridge. I would love to write for you. For a year, I didn't hear a word. And I'm not going to say his name, but we're still really good friends. He was an editor with The Sun. I wrote him. I said, "Listen, I got tickets to go see Train. I think it was Train, the group Train. Let me write a review. If you like it, use it. Give me some more work." So he said, "Okay, cool." So I did, and he did. He kind of put me on, and I started writing for Greenspun and for the Weekly. And then I moved to Windows. To make a long story short, it just started to sort of dwindle down as far as the work that we were getting, because it was less about writing and more about advertising. It just started getting smaller and smaller. The magazine started getting smaller and smaller. People weren't reading as much anymore, and this was across the board. I think it was two things: people were reading less, and also I think that the internet made real good journalism sort of obsolete, because everyone would get on and start a website, start a blog, and would just write. It was more about the content delivery than it was the actual, I guess, skill and quality of the of the actual writing that you were doing. So I kind of came up with the idea of, and I also used to do radio too, by the way, but which I'm leading to when it came to BiteSiZeD. I wanted to create a publication it was about actually listening to the content or viewing the content as opposed to reading about it. Most people, they go on social media and they feel like they're actually informed by not really reading the article, but basically reading the title of an article. So if you read something that says, Joe Biden just signed his bill for whatever, people read that and feel like they're
that's
informed.
like the epitome of Reddit.
Yeah, and they feel like they're informed. They don't click on the actual article and actually read what the content is, but so they want to be really informed, or at least feel like they're informed, really, really quickly, really sharply. That's why I named it Bite Size. People think Bite Size is a reference to food. It's a reference to how we deliver content, and we want to get people informed really quickly. So we use auditory and video in order to get people information about different things that they may want to do. Social media, from the concept of what I did with Bite Size to where it is now, has become such a juggernaut of creators, and influencers are the new journalists, really, essentially. And I wanted to kind of use their platforms in order to create stories to inform people. And essentially that's what we do with BiteSiZeD. If you go on a magazine, it is basically social media kind of organized in a way that, like, if you're looking for a place to eat, you can click on a place and then you get an actual experience about that place, as opposed to maybe reading like, hey, they have good coffee, they have good, Danishes or whatever. We created as well, use content where we actually go in these places, eat the food, show you the service and everything else, show you the ambiance of the actual place really, really quickly, really sharply, so you can kind of get to know the place a little bit before you decide whether or not you want to go to it.
And through BiteSiZeD, through the app, you are embracing the ethos of the digital economy, and that's collaboration, right? When you work for a traditional publication, it's very centralized. It's everyone who is writing for that magazine has to go to an editor and then has to go through these steps of approval process to actually make the publication.
And sort of non-disclosure to where you can't even work outside of the actual sort of group of people. We work with everybody.
Yeah, and so on BiteSiZeD, you actually you're essentially just resharing some of the influencers' content, which Absolutely. Makes it easier on you guys as well. But it also gives the freedom to the influencer to be them and not have to change it all. And that's
trying to change nobody. I love now we have our own sort of core group of people that we use to create content, but even other different creators and influencers. I like different voices. I like different points of view, even the way that they shoot the videos and do different things. I like that. So it doesn't necessarily have to be about what we like or what we feel like is what's popular or something that works. I want to work with everyone. I would love to work with as many people as possible and get them on here, because my point of view may not be the same type of point of view that maybe someone who's actually looking at the magazine may have. They may have a different point of view that someone that we allow to be on the magazine would have. And then now you're connecting with people. And again, this is more about allowing people to kind of get to know the city in a unique way, but also we want different voices to express that. It's not just our voice. It should be the people who actually experience the city. It could be in their voice as well. So we like to use everybody.
It's very important. It's the way that the world is trending. I mean, you see the rise of open source technologies, which is literally collaboration. It's everyone's working on one kind of thing to build it, and everyone wants to have their voice heard. Yeah. And you have to embrace the individuality of every person. That's why I did a podcast, is because I was just really tired of seeing the mainstream media and some, even on just like Fox and CNN, seeing these broadcasters that are voicing things that aren't even their opinions. They're just being force-fed this propaganda to say things. And on a podcast, it's just you. Like, you are the final say for whatever you want to do. Yeah. And it's a beautiful concept. And now you see different formats like Clubhouse, where it's like on demand. Well, it's like live audio content. It's like the rise of audio influencers. That's kind of where podcasting in the audio world's going. But with Instagram, it's the visual influencer. And now with Substack, it's like tech journalism. I see that's becoming like a hot commodity nowadays too. Mm-hmm. And so with BiteSiZeD, I know on your Instagram, there are 30-second clips. Do you do long form articles, or like what's your textual idea to how to present different things that maybe don't have a visual component to it?
Well, we also do it in different languages too. The actual content delivery, which was a way bigger sort of feature before, the world kind of closed up, but it's opening back up again. So we're going to start going back to it. The content delivery can be done in, we have it in Spanish, French Mandarin, French Canadian, French Canadian and Mandarin, and we're looking to add a few more. But I like to get and keep content under a minute. Under a minute actually, a minute might be a little bit too long, but I just like content delivery that's really, really quick, really, really sharp. Something that people can I get intimidated when I see even if it's podcast or even if it's a video of somebody I even like, if I see an hour, if I see 59 minutes or 45 minutes, I'm like, I don't have time. I think some of the best podcasts are those, and that's why I kind of like your clips as well on IG, are the ones that they'll do their full show and then kind of dice it up. And dice it up, really sort of segment it out and title it out and send it out. So you have like 4 minutes or 5 minutes, and I can consume that. And if I choose to get more, I can go get more. So I just think that's just for me anyway. It's an easier delivery because we're so spoiled of choice. We're so spoiled of choice when it comes to 2021. You got Amazon Prime, you got Netflix, you got Hulu, you got these, and these has so many different places to where you can go and get entertainment or information. It's we're so spoiled of choice to where if you don't hit people really quickly, they're gonna move on. Such a scrolling, we're such a scrolling culture now to where it's like we don't have time to even stop and really sort of just consume. And
kind of jumping on the back of what you're talking about earlier in terms of like people just want to be informed, they just want to read the headlines. In terms of my podcasting output, right, I put those like 1 minute clips out, sometimes a little bit shorter. I've noticed that my downloads fluctuate. Sometimes they're higher, sometimes they're lower, but my social media followers tend to continually increase because
which ones?
On like Instagram and Twitter. And so what I've come to notice is that people support whatever I do, even if I sit here and record an hour podcast with you, they digest that 1 minute clip almost as if it's like they're digesting the entire hour. And then they still kind of attach that credibility to me that like that. And it's kind of like a trust of like, they're like, hey, Jake, I trust you because you're sitting here with an hour with all these different people, but I don't have the time. So I'm going to digest this 1 minute clip and pretend that I digested the entire hour because I trust you because you're that kind of influencer.
Right. And you see a lot of that. Again, I think the wisest of people who do podcasts, I think the wisest of people who deliver content are those who give the listener the option. Yes, you have the hour and a half, but you also have the clips in order for them to, kind of digest those. If they don't have the hour and a half in order to consume the entire, a lot of people such as myself, I just don't necessarily have the time. I like the clips. And if I say anything too long, I feel like, I don't know if I have the time. Yeah. So I was like, even like, again, I love podcasts. I love listening to a lot of different things, but, and it's also a little bit more niche to where if you do a clip and you segment it out and you title it, and it's, so I kind of know exactly what it is and I'm actually consuming, that's also interesting as well. If they're talking about, say, like, what happened on last night's episode or whatever, or talking about a certain book, for 4 or 5 minutes, that gives me a little bit more interesting than saying like, hey, it's the, the Brjden Crewe podcast show, hour and a half. I don't know what you're going to be talking about. And especially if I don't really know you, like you mentioned, trust, especially starting out. I'll get a lot of people who do podcasts or want to do podcasts ask me like, what is my advice? My advice is to do your show, but cut it up, segment it out, send out different clips, title them, and get people sort of interested in little small bites, as opposed to like saying like, hey, my name is such and such, and here's my podcast. Here's an hour and a half. Come listen to it. Most people won't. Most people don't have the time, and they don't even know you enough. Like you mentioned trust. They don't even trust you yet. So, I mean, you can try it that way, do it that way, but it's going to take you a very long time in order to kind of build an audience. Give them a little bit and have them want or consume more after they kind of get to know you a little bit more. So that would be my advice for anyone who would like maybe start like a new podcast. But again, I'll get intimidated by really, really big, long podcasts. That's just me though.
So how does BiteSiZeD go about earning the trust of its consumers?
What we've been doing, I think we earned a lot of trust by being consistent. But that's almost, I think, with anything that anyone does. Your consistency generally will tell you whether or not you are built for success. I think consistency is one of the most important things, and having a sort of dedication and passion for what it is that you want to do. Some people get in the game or get into a game to get money or to make money, and that's cool. But I also think the people who get into it because they enjoy it or because they're passionate about it has a sort of a leg up, because if you're not doing what it is that you enjoy and you love, you're probably not going to be very consistent when you get those no's. You're going to get no.
Get
used to no. Get used to the word no. It's amazing. I always listen to and enjoy the stories of successful people from the beginning. A good example is Jay-Z. Every record label said no to Jay-Z. They all said no, which is why he started Rockefeller Records, because everyone else said no. Does he hear no anymore? Probably not. He's probably far-fetched to get a no out of anybody now, but get used to those no's. They're gonna happen. We get a lot of no's. Going back to your question, because I can ramble. The trust comes from being able to not only be consistent, but be kind of true to what it is that you want to do, and the message that you want to send. We want to help local businesses thrive. We want to help people get to know this city. I meet so many people who lived here. They could live here a dozen years, 5, 10 years, go home on a Friday night and have absolutely no idea what to do. And we want to kind of help people find those things. So we do a lot of different things. Most of our articles is like, here's 3 good date night things to do tonight. Here's some girls' night stuff to do. Cinco de Mayo's coming up. Here's some spots that maybe you want to go to for Cinco de Mayo. And we create content, video content that kind of directs you to where you have options and kind of figure, instead of just kind of walking around and figuring it out, or maybe scrolling on Facebook and maybe running across somebody's ad. You can go directly to BiteSiZe, and if it's something that you want to do, if it's a Thai restaurant, then maybe you're in the mood for Thai. You can we have it all categorized the way you can go to food and beverage, look up Thai stuff, and then we have all these different Thai restaurants that maybe you want to try out in the actual order of closest to you. So in your proximity, because we kind of geolocate, you can find the closest Thai restaurant to you if you're in the mood for Thai. So it's really what BiteSiZe is. Essentially, it's a way to kind of get to know the city in a way that's really, really quick, sharp, and easy to consume.
I liked some of the personality that you added in the magazine as well. And some of the labeling, you had like love is in the hair, and then it listed a bunch of different hair places, flower to the people, flowers, florists.
Well, that's cannabis, but
yeah, or cannabis, get at the bag. Like they're
bag for shopping.
Yeah. So there's personality on top of it, which is the new direction from traditional magazines and publications, where it's just labeled very blandly, where it'll just be like floor places or, wallpaper places or paint, whatever.
Just trying to have fun, just trying to, I think oftentimes they can come off cheesy. I think sometimes I'm like, that's cheesy. Put it in there. I like it. I like it only because I think, being fun and kind of playful, and I get people who say like, I kind of like those and it's whatever. Again, we want to have fun. We want to have, we're kind of lighthearted, but more than anything, we just want to kind of be able to kind of direct people to different places and have fun.
Do you ever find difficulty in preventing yourself from kind of catering more towards like the catalog and being a magazine? Because with the catalog, right, it's just kind of like a listing of all these different areas. And that's kind of like what a lot of, I wouldn't say magazines, but there's a lot of catalogs that just list like all the different food places in Vegas, and they're very bland, whereas like a magazine, it has a little bit more opinions and the influencers. So do you have difficulty balancing with the personality and just kind of fitting in and being a plug and play with all of these different other catalogs?
Not really, only because I think the model that we created, and if you saw this from the inception, is night and day different. It took a lot of time to kind of cultivate a lot of, try it this way. Okay, that doesn't work. Take out that.
Trial and error.
Trial and error. I think we found a pretty good balance of it being something that, not so much a catalog, but being able to kind of, organize and list and label different things while also sort of keeping our own sensibility and fun, that sort of a magazine has, which is why I think it makes BiteSiZe something that, again, has never been done before. We also, again, these are our magazine covers. We have these magazine covers, and you have a QR code that actually sends you to the actual
QR codes are the future. I have a strong conviction in QR codes, and they're going to be implemented throughout society everywhere.
This is going to be watched. People are going to start copying this. I'm already on a couple different people's radar. Instead of having the actual magazine, we have the actual cover, and it changes each month. Soon it's going to be each week, and we have a different digital artist that's going to be doing our covers, and we have a theme. It'll send you right to the actual magazine on your phone. So cost of printing is down. We can be way more versatile. We can do it in different languages, and we can set it up in different places, around the city based on, the neighborhood. There's a lot of different things that we can do with the magazine that other magazines can't do. Because if you're not living here, you're dead. You're done. And this is where we kind of live. But these are also, again, for brand recognition. Even downstairs at the coffee shop, like we have our magazines down there in the covers.
Yeah, down in Golden Fog.
Yeah. So this is sort of the wave of the future. And I think that what we're doing with BiteSiZe, and this is the first of many cities we've already started building out for LA, Salt Lake City, Phoenix, Denver. I think we're starting to build out for as well. This is sort of a way for people to kind of get to know the city in a really sort of hyper-local way that kind of takes some of the good and the bad from what magazine publications are, the good and the bad for what Yelp is. Don't get me started on Yelp. and the good and bad for what maybe Spotify or even Instagram or TikTok is. We sort of combining those and try to figure it out. Okay, let's trim this here, add this, subtract that, and put together something that people can really sort of kind of get to know their city in a really, again, sharp, quick, bite-sized, for lack of a better word, way.
Are small businesses receptive to promoting BiteSiZe in their store for the banner that you just presented?
Absolutely. The covers, yeah, absolutely. Most of the places that we're at are small businesses. They love it. They love that we come in and we want to help bring locals to them. They need the help. They want the help. We want to help them, and in return, they help us. It's about us helping each other to make sure that, especially the year we had last year, and we really hustled and grind last year. We did a lot of work for free last year, just trying to help local businesses and sort of just building our own brand and our own voice, and kind of again, trial and error, trying to learn what works and what doesn't work. Small businesses have been very, very receptive. I can't thank them enough. We always want to work with small businesses. We don't even work with big companies. The biggest, and I'm not going to name any names, but you won't see McDonald's on BiteSiZe. You won't see Starbucks on BiteSiZe. They got their bread. They got their success. We want to help the smaller places that maybe you hadn't heard about, get to the level or whatever level of success that they want to get to. But we want to always be in an energy and in a system in the process to help small businesses succeed.
Right. Yeah. Some of the tabs that I had listed on here were food and beverage, cannabis, shopping, fun and activities, coupons, some of the very nominal and I guess basic kind of industries that you see within a city. Are there any growing cultures or industries in Vegas specifically that you would like to add tabs to, but have not been able to either find a large enough culture or the right kind of people to help integrate that into BiteSiZe?
Absolutely. It's a little niche now only because, the world is kind of opening back up and we didn't want to do or create too many things. You ever go to a restaurant and they have everything? And it's hard to be good at one thing when you're doing 20 or 30 things. You go someplace and they have chicken, they have hot dogs, they have steak, they have spaghetti, and it's all, it's hard to be good. So we wanted to really start niche. And, but another part of that is, we had the pandemic. So there was a lot of content that we were really sitting on, from music. We're going to be doing a lot of covering different shows and stuff like that as the city opens back up. From fitness stuff, we're going to be doing a lot more fitness stuff.
There's a huge fitness culture out here. It's massive.
A ginormous tattoo culture. We really want to get into culture and subculture stuff. Even religion and helping people kind of find different places to worship. And there's a lot of different things that we want to do to, but so long as it has to do with culture and beings, people, different things, mental health issues and different things like that. We're working with a lot of different places that are doing a lot of really interesting things that I can't really talk about in the realm of helping people be better people and dealing with different things and emotions and stuff like that. Yoga and Pilates, and there's a lot of different things that we're going to be adding to the app as we kind of grow and as the city kind of opens back up.
Yeah. The issue, we were kind of talking about this while we were walking up here. There are a lot of these subcultures and pockets within the city, but I think the issue that I find is the common denominator is like everyone wants to work with each other. Everyone's building out these different cultures, but there's like either it's a marketing issue or a communication issue of communicating with each other and kind of finding like a hub to recognize that, right? So I think BiteSiZe could be one of those fitting puzzle pieces to kind of connect everything together, because I was just recently at a tech hub meeting with about 18 different tech entrepreneurs who are all trying to bring the tech scene out here in Vegas. And that was one of their main key points in the discussion, was that there's all these different silos within Vegas, but nobody is communicating with each other because it seems to be their common reason was a marketing issue. There wasn't the right marketing team that was able to help showcase all of these different programs and entrepreneurs and things like that. You know, that's something I'm trying to tackle. It's something you're trying to tackle. How do we figure this out to get everyone on the same page and to share all of these awesome things that are happening?
BiteSiZeD.
No. Yeah.
No. I mean, I'm only half playing. I think that connecting people to, like you mentioned, all these different and amazing sort of pillars of
like a
business, of information and
flourishing city.
Yeah. I think Vegas is big enough and small enough to where it can be done, but it needs to be, I'm not going to say it needs to be necessarily mobilized, for lack of not plugging my own thing, but
hey, that's why we're here.
I think that it can be done. It's just going to take a group of really, really egoless, first, intelligent people to kind of find sort of a kind of central place and a central thing in order to let people know. It used to be radio. It used to be radio. It used to be television. It used to be, but again, like I mentioned, going back, we're so spoiled of choice that everyone is just all over the place. Everyone is just moving in different places. It's hard to get everybody looking at one thing at one time.
Yeah, to be the go-to spot.
Right. So it's going to take something like, again, I hate doing it. I hate saying it. Say something like BiteSiZe in order for, and that's what we kind of want. We want BiteSiZe to be in every phone as possible, as many as possible, so that people can kind of know and be connected with everything that's going on in the city. And that's going to take not only us, I'm saying as a group with BiteSiZe, being able to have everything. Our challenge right now is, now that the city is opening up, there's going to be so much stuff. And
yeah, so everyone's attention is being diverted.
Right, so many things to do. And our challenge is getting all that stuff and put it on the app. So if anyone that I appreciate who's downloaded the app won't go there and feel like, oh, but they didn't have that on there, so they obviously don't. We need to have everything on this app in order for people to kind of have that trust that like, I'm going to open this app up and they don't miss anything. I know that if it's not on there, then it's probably not happening. So our challenge is being able to be in the loop with that. We like to talk to everybody. We like to go everywhere and meet everyone. We're not even trying to sell you necessarily. Give us your events. If you're listening, give us your events. Give us anything that you have going on. We want to put it on our app because that's just only going to make our magazine stronger and more trustworthy for people who actually open it up. I don't want anyone to open up the magazine and feel like something is left out because they're going to feel like now they're not going to trust the magazine. So our challenge is keeping up with so much that's going to be happening and going on. I'm so happy the city's opening back up. I'm so happy the world is opening back up. But our challenge is making sure that when people open up our magazine, that we didn't miss anything.
Right. Yeah. The Guest List podcast will actually be in BiteSiZe magazine here soon too.
By the way, speaking of that, so we're gonna start adding, different podcasts. I'm happy to say that we're gonna be adding your podcast for people to experience and kind of your platform, which is so important, and the reason why we really appreciate having you on the platform is your message and what you stand for. We've had conversations to where you're like me. You want to see the city flourish. You want to work with people. You want to help people get to know the city, just like we do. And we really appreciate you actually, giving us the opportunity to even have you on a magazine.
Yeah, I appreciate that. It's really just about creating tools for not only the residents, but the new residents. Vegas is one of the fastest growing cities in the entire United States. Yep. And there's no signs that that's going to slow down. So all of these new residents are going to have to look to something to figure out where to go or who to talk to, who to listen to. BiteSiZe, yeah. Find out the different influencers, the different areas within the city, come to listen to the Guest List podcast, understand that there's literally hundreds or if not thousands of different industries and very niched down industries within the city that's not just pertinent to the Strip and downtown and all of these different, and the Vegas is small enough, it's big enough, yet small enough to have a cultural impact by one person if you're just networking with the right people.
Right.
It was a conversation I was having recently with one of my friends about, we were both born and raised out here, about like, would we ever leave Vegas? And it's like, okay, where would we go? LA or New York? Like one person's not going to have an impact. It's like, if I'm still here, like you can literally be that change. Like all it takes is like you said, just a handful of intelligent individuals who are going to be selfless and put everything else forward in front of them, not worry about monetization. That always comes second. You want to lead with third. You want to lead with passion, and you want to lead with networking, put yourself out there, and then everything will always come back your way.
Agreed. And again, that's one of the things that I love most about Vegas. Harping back to what I said, it's still undefined. It's still searching for that definition when it comes to what Las Vegas is as a culture, as a community. And I love that. Like you mentioned, going to LA, not only are you going to pay a whole lot of money to live there, but LA is what LA is. We know what LA is. New York is what New York is. That's not to say you can't go there and have an impact, but Vegas, that's what's so dope about Vegas. Like you can really, really, really put your footprint in what Las Vegas culture is. And that's exactly what I plan to do. I love that challenge. I love the opportunity to actually do that.
So how big is the BiteSiZeD team as of now?
The team, about 10 to 12 people.
Oh, it's fairly large.
10 to 12 people, but a lot of it is sweat equity. A lot of it is part-time. We have maybe 4, 5, 6 people full-time doing it. But actually, the team is probably a little bit bigger than that if I'm thinking about contributors and people who are just kind of down and is helping me build it. But about 10 to 12 people. I'll leave it there. If I think too much, I'll have a different number.
And I'm presuming that's been accumulated over time as more people discover BiteSiZe. They want to contribute in some sort of way.
Yeah. Again, and it's funny, they just hired me back, but I was the executive editor at MGM, and then COVID happened. Then I'm like, great, I could spend 18, 20 hours a day on BiteSiZe. and I'm going back. But a lot of the core team, I worked on their internal agency. And a lot of the core people from their social media team to their media team to animators, are friends of mine, and they saw the vision, and they're big contributors, and some of them are part of the team, like full time. But I'm going to be going back, but luckily I'll be doing it remotely. So I'll be like BiteSiZe.
Hey, it's the future. BiteSiZe. That's the future.
Yeah, absolutely. I was trying to work remotely even before, COVID happened. But I have a team of really, really brilliant, smart, talented people who, again, they're working in some of the biggest places in the world. I'm also actually a boxing trainer. I teach classes Monday through Friday, and I've met a lot of different people who are actually on the team from people who actually am training to be boxers, and I come to find out they're artists and they have all these different skills and stuff like that. So it's kind of amazing how you can kind of find people who are not only believe in what it is that you're doing, but also have the resident skills to contribute to what it is that you're doing as well.
One of the beautiful aspects of Vegas, it's generally graded in one of the worst states for education. But what's not a statistic is the amount of entrepreneurship, the hustle culture that's out here, and that the majority of people who reside within the city are multifaceted into multiple things. Like you said, they're an artist. They're also into boxing. They have 2 different jobs and they make all this money. So that's why I'm very bullish on Vegas. Is I'm trying to figure out the way to pull the capital off of the strip that's being made and then have it spread throughout the city in some sort of business, right? I used to work at Omnia nightclub. Omnia, you can make a large amount of money really fast. And so I think I'm trying to find ways to where people can take that money and not give it back, not go back out and put it right back into the strip club or bottle service, and go out and build something substantial for them, whether they're going to work on the next podcast, the next BiteSiZeD magazine, or whatever the next tech multi-million-dollar company could be out here.
It's interesting you mentioned that because, and this is more on a smaller scale, I know so many different executive chefs that work on the strip, and they go downtown and build their own restaurant, and they kind of double back. I know a lot of them actually who they created like their own restaurant. 2 people I'm thinking of in particular, but that's essentially what and again, and I love seeing that, and that doesn't necessarily it's not juxtaposed to what it is that you're talking about, but finding sort of that way to do that. There's a lot of different organizations. Me working at MGM, they do for being the big corporate, whatever they you want to call them. They do take a lot of money and they put it into a lot of local businesses and organizations. Like you said, you worked at Omni, Omnia
at Caesars,
yeah. Sidebar, is that that was converted from like Pure?
It was the old Pure.
Pure was way smaller.
Yeah, Pure was just Terrace and the Heart Room, and then the actual main room of Omnia is the blown out poker room from beforehand. Okay. So
that's why
they converted it. That's why it's so big now. Yeah,
got you. Okay, because I've been there a few times, but if you find that, please let me know that sort of niche and how I can kind of get that happening. Please let me know, because it's a lot of ideas.
Yeah, it's a problem that a lot of us are trying to tackle as somebody who, like myself and yourself, who are just in constant contact with so many people in all these different industries. You begin to see these different trends, and that's one of the trends I noticed is like it's somewhat hard to pull that capital that's being made on the strip. A lot of these tip positions you're making hundreds or if not thousands of dollars a night.
The problem, one of the problems I think is that most of the real money and power in those positions aren't locals. Most of the people who are in position or in power who own on the strip aren't necessarily vested in the city. They live all over the world. They have, they don't really have a reason in order to kind of contribute back into the city the way maybe someone who actually lived there or lived here and grew up here, and now they have a casino would sort of feel, I guess, not so much burdened, but would feel obligated to help a community. But again, I really love seeing what's going on with Las Vegas. I really love seeing what it's sort of becoming. How long you been out here?
I'm born and raised out here. So 29 years. 29 years.
You've seen the growth in a way that most people can't. Now, I've been coming out here since like 1990. I think about what Blue Diamond is, just a street where it was just all just desert. And now look at it. You go down past, maybe Fort Apache and Durango back towards the strip. It's amazing thinking about what all that was. I mean, you could think of, any part of the city. I'm just using Blue Diamond as sort of an example. The growth of what the city has become, even looking at what downtown has became, what downtown was 12, 13 years ago, where it is now. I enjoy really seeing what Las Vegas is becoming, and the growth and the love and the people. You mentioned it earlier, where maybe in some other different cities, people won't be as they wouldn't want to be as helpful or to collab as much. In Vegas, I don't really find a lot of that. I don't find situations to where people just don't want to be a part of what it is that you're doing for whatever reason,
Yeah,
or whatever.
everyone wants to collab. It's we were saying before we started recording that everyone's separated by 1 to 2 degrees out here. If you go to these more fully developed cities, it becomes 5, 6, sometimes even more, and there's a lot of different tension. Out here, it's like you can meet somebody, you chalk up a conversation and find out there's something similar super fast, and all of a sudden you're doing business together or collabing or whatever it is.
It's a beautiful thing. I love it. I love it out here. Vegas. And even with, again, this is going to turn into like a Vegas love section or whatever, but even the weather. Let me go with the weather. Everywhere else, almost, there's something wrong with the weather. I think about California, and most people would say California almost have perfect weather. But then you got the earthquakes, and you got every day I turn on the news is like a new forest fire or something. Down south, you have, hurricanes, you have your tornadoes, you have different things like that. I mean, Vegas has a scorching hot, summer, but the humidity's kind of down. And don't even get me started on like January, February. People think it's cold. Like, I'm from Chicago. Chicago, look, we invented snow in Chicago. So anything out here is 40, 50 degrees. I'm still in shorts. I'll be outside barbecuing. So it's nothing to me. So I really love Vegas. Has so many different.
It's a lot of utility out
cost
here.
of living, like, state tax. The cost of living is so much better. That's why so many people from Cali, especially people who have became more remote workers, they moving out here. They'll get a 4-bedroom to what they would get for like a studio apartment in California. You get so much more bang for your buck in Vegas. I love Las Vegas. I think it's not perfect, but at the same time, when I think about other different places in the United States to kind of like live and kind of set up shop, Vegas would be, on a very short list of places where I want to be.
Yeah, it's most of the real estate being bought up is by remote workers. I've had multiple conversations with multiple people about that. But I'm going to divert it back to the magazine a little bit. There was a question. That. No, you're good. You're good.
I do that.
Hey,
I ramble.
I enjoy tangents because I think it's just an accentuation of your own personality and your passion, right? So it's like, why prevent that from happening? From preventing that from happening. Have you received any blowback from these traditional publications or magazines that you're trying to interrupt?
I am, and I have. I'm not going to name any names. Some of these places I used to work for. I'm on their radar. What are you doing? What's going on? I've gotten offers from different places, maybe not the ones that I'm talking about right now, but I've gotten, let me not say it's not blowback. It's more, it's one thing if if I have a house and I'm, and this is my neighborhood and I'm the only house in the neighborhood, then someone builds a house right next to me. Even though that's not my land, I'm still going to feel maybe a way about it. Tough shit. We here and we're not going anywhere. So it's not so much a blowback. It's not even something that I would even consider competition at this point. I think that what we're doing is different from what everybody else is doing. I think that what we stand for is different from what everyone else is standing for. We're not looking to say, okay, this is our only product and you can only deal with this product. If you're not in this product, you can't sit with us. We want everybody to sit with us. I would love to work with some of these different magazines and stream some of their content, if allowed. I'm not about, just saying like this is just our own thing and we're not messing with anybody else. No, let's share the love. It's enough for everybody to be out here and eat. So I'm good with working with people. If people don't like it, let me not say people, if certain companies don't like it, deal with it.
Yeah, you can always copy the product. We see this happen in social media a lot, right? Where Twitter just they copied Clubhouse and did Twitter Spaces with Instagram copying the stories from Snapchat. It's the same thing with with
TikTok and Reels.
And Reels on Instagram. Yeah, it's the Titans will always come in and try to make their own version of the same idea. But the one thing they can't extract is the culture that comes attached to it. You can't buy culture. It's not going to come through, as we were talking about in the very beginning.
Yeah, you can't really necessarily buy the culture.
You can't. That's what comes with it. Culture is created without money. And once you inject money into culture, it becomes diluted with.
And it'll always be like I mentioned. And again, I love using hip hop as an example because it's something that I just grew up in. You can try to, I'm going to take this kid and make him whatever. But if the streets ain't with it, if they don't believe in it, if they don't accept it, it's it's just not going to feel the same. And then you might get a little whatever, but you're talking about long-term sort of acceptance and long-term sort of passion for. If you don't really have passion, if you don't really believe in what it is, if you're not really authentic, it's only so long that you're going to be able to lie, and eventually people are going to be like, okay, we're moving on. That's sort of the interesting thing about pop culture in general. If it's not real, even if it's poppy, if it's not real, most people they're gonna enjoy. Some people you're gonna get some people who's gonna enjoy it for a little while, but after a little while they're gonna move on because it's not real. People like to feel like something that they're a part of is authentic and with passion. And if you don't have that, you might fool the people for a little while, but after a while you'll be done.
Yeah, and specifically out here, if you're following somebody's adventure journey, the podcast BiteSiZeD in the beginning, they get to grow with you. And so they feel even more attached to that community because they seen the authenticity from start to beginning.
And we try to engage as much as possible. I try to get on Instagram and talk and TikTok and talk to people as much as possible if they're engaging. That's really, really important to, be able to do that. But more than anything, I want people to know and understand how passionate we are about what it is that we're trying to do. This isn't something I can have $100 million and I would be in my living room with my 2 or 3 monitors working on the app. This isn't about me, wanting to gain financially or to gain. I have no kids. I have no wife. Thank you, God, Jesus, all of, whichever. Thank you all of them for not, giving me those burdens. But I have nothing really necessarily to pass this off to. This is just something that I really love and I enjoy doing. And the money thing means zero to little to nothing. The only thing it does is what I feel like money is. Money for me is something that it's freedom. I want to be free of having to worry about my mortgage, or free having to worry about, how this bill or that bill is being paid. Aside from that, everything else is just, it's just icing. So all this is for me is just, this gives me, this just allows me to be free to do what it is that I love. That's what BiteSiZeD is for me.
Point blank. Are there any future updates that we could look for, or is there any sort of, I'd say, medium to long-term goals that you want to implement into BiteSiZeD that isn't there yet to this day?
Absolutely, and we're going to be starting to do this. I was going to, talk to you this off the air because I want you to come do it. We're starting our own sort of podcast network. The one that I told you about that we're going to be doing on our platform, but I'm actually going to get back behind the mic.
Let's go.
We'll be doing that.
Let's go.
And but it's going to be a little bit different from what most podcasts are. Like we mentioned earlier, the content delivery. I almost hesitate calling it a podcast because we're going to focus on doing really, really quick, short. I call them gimmies because give me 20 seconds to tell you about some different places to go this weekend. Give me 60 seconds to tell you about different Cinco de Mayo places to go. So what the actual delivery is, it's going to be fun. It's going to be lighthearted, but it's really almost a news delivery sort of podcast as opposed to it being more about editorializing different things, like how we're doing, how we're talking. What we're going to be doing, again, we're going to get a bunch of different people, people who don't necessarily have podcasts, some that do, people who are all over TikTok, all over Instagram. We're buying up a lot of studio time. We're going to set them up, put them in front of a camera, and have them deliver culture to Las Vegas, letting people know really, really quickly, really sharply, in their own voice about who they are and what Las Vegas is about, and kind of directing people, helping people get to know the city in a different way as opposed to it being just about the actual magazine. But as far as the magazine, there's a lot of different things and different goals that I have. I'm not going to bore you with them because they're more long-term goals. Short-term right now, what we want to do, we just want to keep building the magazine. Anytime I see a new restaurant or a new boutique or a new this, or here comes these events. Usher, he's having a residency over at Caesars. Downtown Summerlin is adding something new. So, and that keeps me busy enough in order to try to keep up with everything that's going on within the city to put it in the magazine. Because again, I want people to open this magazine up and feel like nothing is left out when it comes to sort of culture and things to do, finding places to go, places to eat. So that's sort of goal enough, and that's sort of it keeps me busy enough. But the podcast network, that's something that we are starting tomorrow. Actually, we're going to start going in and shooting and filming. But that's kind of my short-term goal, and it aligns with what it is that we're trying to do with BiteSiZe. Just kind of create a different sort of delivery network. I should say delivery, a content delivery for people to kind of get to know the city better.
That is beautiful. I have one final question for you before we get out of here. Same question I ask everybody. What does Las Vegas mean to you?
Man, I feel like I spoke a lot about what Las Vegas meant to me during this time. But I'll reiterate, Las Vegas to me means it's undefined. It's undefined, and it's not what you think. It's it has a really great history of it being sort of a caricature, while also being a place where people from all over the world came, settled down, and created sort of a melting pot of so many different cultures and so many different sounds and visuals and looks. And that's kind of what kind of makes it special. And that's why I think it has been a little bit, it's been difficult to sort of define. Also, again, it hasn't been, you rarely meet third and fourth generation Las Vegans. That's a discussion that we still haven't been able to solve yet as well. But again, Las Vegas to me means it is a beautiful, glorious palette that is just begging to be colored and drawn in. It's not just these strippers. It's not just these casinos. It's not just these slot machines. It is now starting to be a place where people come to raise a family and to like yourself and me, like to really sort of like put their foot in their imprint into creating sort of a culture and a community. It is a beautiful place if you search it, if you explore it. There's so many great, amazing people that are doing really great, amazing things for the community and for different. I wish I had time. If I name one, I had to name them all. I'm not going to do it, but I've met so many amazing people who have worked really hard to make this a community that is worthy of raising your family in. And we'll get there. But I guess again, to sum it up, I think it's just Las Vegas to me it's undefined, but it's a beautiful sort of undefined canvas
waiting to be painted,
ready to be colored and painted with crayons and charcoals,
and pastels, and everything.
All of it. We can do it all. It's undefined
in there.
But it's a beautiful palette.
4D art it is. Where do I send all of the listeners and viewers to follow you on their journey, download BiteSiZeD, et cetera?
Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, Facebook, it's all BiteSiZeD Magazine, BiteSiZeD with a D. See this. You can go on any of your app stores. We're on all the app stores. We're at 1.3 million downloads already.
Let's go.
I would love to take credit for that, but we did a lot of advertising on the different app stores. We have different people who've downloaded our apps all over the world: India, Pakistan, Germany. So most of the people who've downloaded our app are all over the world. They love Las Vegas. They want to come back. And again. And we can 230. I think we've secured 230 places, businesses around Las Vegas where you can actually find, or actually you can take this and actually get different deals, 10% off, buy one get one free with all of our different clients. We set up we call them cheat codes. You can go on the app and get 10% off, get a buy one get one free, 15% off your first deal. I mean, your first meal or your first purchase. We have a lot of those different things set up on the app. You can check them out, and yeah. App stores, Microsoft Store.
Download it, guys. Give them a review while you're there as well.
Please give me a review.
The reviews go a long way.
That's very true. And I haven't really pressed them, and I'm going to start pressing those. But yeah, I need those reviews.
And I'm glad that you noted that all these other countries are downloading your app, because something I found as well is that all of the tourists, the 44 million people approximately who visit here a year, they're not only just interested about what's happening on the Strip, they're interested in the culture that surrounds it, because they're all making friends with the bottle girls and the bartenders and the pit dealers. They want to know about their lives. There's so many servers and bussers and bartenders that I worked with who would get taken out by their client when their client was in town when they were off work, just because they like that person. And that's just like a giant emphasis on the culture that's being built here.
I have a lot of friends, they've created really, really lucrative businesses of being able to make friends with people who are coming into town. And when they come into town, gathering them all up and just taking them on the tour, go out to the Grand, even as far as the Grand Canyon, Hoover Dam, taking them all over places outside of the Strip just to kind of experience Las Vegas differently.
We are on our way.
We are.
Bridge, thank you for coming on, man.
It's
really
my
enjoyed
pleasure.
this.
Thank you so much.
I truly believe in BiteSize. Love the app. I know that you guys are going to see an astronomical amount of growth over the next few years.
Hope so.
Here
Appreciate
we are.
you. Thank you.
Here we are. Thank you guys for listening. We'll catch you next time.